Welcome to the weekly EdTech analysis from Webhostville Services. Our mission is simple: to align technical infrastructure, pedagogical excellence, and institutional strategy for African education. We don't just track the news, we interpret it through the Webhostville 4-pillar AI Readiness Framework. Let's cut through the noise and look at what today's developments mean for your institution. Today, we're going to map out a highly structured route through the recent systemic shifts in African EdTech. We'll start with a brief strategic overview, then navigate through the 4 pillars of our framework: infrastructure, data governance, human capacity, and strategic alignment, before finally confronting the unspoken truth facing institutional leaders right now. Let's get straight into it. Part 1, our strategic brief, focusing on institutional sovereignty. Now, across Nigeria and the wider African continent, we're witnessing a rather fundamental strategic pivot. Just look at the pace of change we've seen recently. Between early May and mid-June alone, the mandates have been coming thick and fast. We've had UNESCO's push for digital ecosystems, the FMCIDI deploying AI services with Meta, and UBEC inaugurating their digital champions. It's a lot, isn't it? But what this rapid succession of directives really tells us is that we have to prioritize long-term infrastructure over the initial enthusiasm of isolated pilots. We are moving away from passive, ad hoc tech adoption and steering straight towards systemic institutional agency. So how do we make sense of all this? Well, to cut through the noise, we evaluate readiness using our own rigorous methodology, the Webhostville 4-pillar AI Readiness Framework. Think of it as a systems-level blueprint. It's designed specifically to align your technical infrastructure, data governance, human capacity, and strategic alignment, all tailored for African education. Let's take a deep dive into how each of these pillars actually plays out in the current landscape. Pillar 1, infrastructure, or as we like to call it, the secure engine room. There is a critical shift that absolutely has to be made here. You see, on one hand, we have the immense risks of shadow AI. These are your fragmented, ad hoc, and quite frankly, insecure deployments that usually spring up from isolated enthusiasm. On the other hand, we have governed environments. To actually sustain national initiatives like those from UBEC and FMCID, institutions really must transition to secure, scalable architectures. A prime example would be Google Workspace for Education. Because at the end of the day, digital champions and shiny new AI tools are only ever as effective as the foundational architecture they stand on. Moving on to Pillar 2, data governance. This is all about moving beyond the black box. Take a moment to consider this recent vision articulated by Honorable Minister Dr. Bosin Tijani. He's aiming to establish a national AI trust. This highlights a profound shift toward a heavily regulated environment. Plus, as TET Fund continues to foster new research partnerships between industry and academia, the commercialization of any innovation is going to rely entirely on data integrity. Institutions absolutely must implement rigorous privacy protocols. We need to ensure fairness, accountability, transparency, and explainability, what we often refer to as FATE, in any algorithmic deployment. Protecting your proprietary research and IP isn't just an IT issue anymore, it is a paramount governance issue. That brings us to our third pillar: human capacity, and the rise of the teacher architect. Now, the role of the modern educator is evolving rapidly. We absolutely have to move away from treating teachers as passive content conveyors. Through vital initiatives like UNESCO's gender-responsive digital education training, we need to support our faculty to become genuinely AI fluent. Ultimately, we want them to emerge as teacher architects. These aren't just staff members who know how to use the latest tools. They are ethical gatekeepers. They are the strategic designers of AI-mediated learning. This kind of pedagogical evolution is quite literally essential if we want to dismantle digital barriers and foster inclusive, critical thinking environments for our learners. And finally, Pillar 4, strategic alignment, which serves as our SDG 4 litmus test. Now, this figure is staggering. We are looking at a severe systemic risk here. Recent global analyses show that the widening gap between the degrees universities are delivering and the actual skills our economy demands is creating an education debt that costs billions. For academic institutions, adopting AI simply has to align with global standards, and it must act as a developmental equalizer. You need a tangible learning return on investment. The real opportunity we have right now lies in radical curriculum agility, leveraging this digital transformation to bridge that skills gap whilst absolutely preserving our pedagogical integrity. Now that we've walked through the framework, we must confront the elephant in the room, the unspoken truth or the strategic gap. This is the vital question that every single institutional decision maker needs to be asking themselves right now. Are you ready? Because digital transformation is no longer just a routine IT upgrade. It is a fundamental governance issue. Are your internal systems genuinely prepared for the impending regulatory gaze of bodies like NIDA and the National Universities Commission? Because make no mistake, that gaze is turning very firmly towards how universities are managing their digital assets and student data. Let's be completely transparent here. The unvarnished reality is that the era of fragmented, ad hoc adoption is over. It's done. Disjointed pilots that operate without robust data governance are only going to lead to institutional isolation. Transitioning to a formalized, enterprise-grade architecture is no longer just a nice-to-have. It is the absolute prerequisite for securing your funding, maintaining your accreditation, and ensuring long-term pedagogical agency. The real question isn't whether you will formalize your architecture, it's whether you'll manage to do it before the regulatory bodies step in and do it for you. Navigating the shift toward institutional agency while aligning internal systems with national mandates is a complex journey. At Webhostville Services, we simplify this process, ensuring your technology infrastructure, data governance, and human capacity development work in harmony. If you are evaluating your roadmap or wish to discuss the practical application of the Webhostville 4-pillar AI Readiness Framework within your context, I invite you to reach out. Let's explore how strategic alignment can better serve your learners. Connect with us. Website, webhostville.com, email, info@webhostville.com, LinkedIn, linkedin.com/company/webhostville, Facebook, facebook.com/webhostville, Twitter/X @webhostville, Instagram @WHV Services, YouTube, youtube.com/webhostville. Thank you for your commitment to excellence in African education.